Older people have the same rights as anybody. The right to be respected, the right to be treated with dignity, the right to be heard, all the rights that any other age group have. Ageism is ascribing to a person a certain set of behaviours or a stereotype about how they'll react or behave depending on their age. You can't do that to a 10-year-old. You can't do it to a 25-year-old. Why should we do it to a 70-year-old or an 80-year-old? And in fact, variation increases as you get older. So it's about assuming things about people that are stereotypes, which are in fact very inaccurate.
A great example of that would be older people thinking that they move into a residential aged care facility when I get old. And we hear it all the time, even with our own parents and our friends. That's actually a myth. You know, there's probably 7 to 8% of the older population in Australia who actually does end up living in an aged care facility when they become frail and much older. But the majority of older people in our country actually live in their own home.
We all think that we will never get old. We know intellectually that we will get old, but emotionally, viscerally, we just don't think it's going to happen to us. It's a really interesting thing when you think about it. Our ageism is completely illogical and stupid and self-destructive. If you're racist, usually you're discriminating against people with a skin colour or racial background different from your own. But when you're discriminating against an older person, you are actually, or older people in general, you're actually discriminating against your future self.
I catch myself saying old about 40-year-olds, which isn't old, but I feel like I would, and then people go, oh, that's not old, and I go, oh, well, old as in probably like 75, 80, yeah?
Well, when you're younger, if someone said to me when I was 40 they were 74, I thought, oh, you poor thing, you're so old. But I don't feel like that now. I don't think that's old anymore.
Prejudices and the assumptions that we make, even as individuals, about what it means to be an older person can actually have a significant impact on how we age, what that means in terms of how we participate in community, our general health and well-being, how we're engaging with others throughout their generations. That can have a significant impact on not only my health and well-being, but also my longevity as an older person as well.
I feel energetic, I feel just like myself, no different. I feel a lot wiser, and I also feel, and this is wonderful, it's one of the most liberating things about getting older, I don't care what other people think about me anymore. I no longer need to seek approval.
I'm happy. I don't know about age is nothing for me because I'm younger. Yeah, I'm younger.
You're only as old as you feel.
Oh yeah, 74 next week. I don't feel it.
We fear ageing, we fear being thought of and treated the way we think of and treat older people, particularly for elderly people. If you don't see yourself represented in the media, if you don't see your stories being told, if you don't see any ads that feature people like you unless they're for funeral plans, hey, how fabulous, that compounds this sense that you've somehow stepped off the mainstream path in life.
In the workplace, they often are seen as not being able to contribute, as being too old for the jobs.
I think if I walked into a shop and said, hey, look, I want some work, and I said I was 61, I think they'd think, oh, no.
Some companies, I've discovered, say we won't employ anybody over 50. I think that they've got blinkers on and are missing out on the benefits of other companies. Other companies have the benefits they see in employing older people.
I'm pretty scared of death and ageing. I'm one of those people.
Don't be. There's nothing to be afraid of. Everyone gets old. Just embrace it.
Now is a fantastic time to actually look at a campaign like this. So as the baby boomers actually continue to age, and as a baby boomer myself, I know that these are the things that I'm starting to think about and the things that are actually most important to me. So as baby boomers start to age, they're actually listening to the conversations that are going on. They actually don't want to actually experience a community which is focused on ageism, where they can't participate in the workforce and the community, and that the community itself has general views about how they should be as an older person.
So I think you can actually make changes You need to do what the Benevolent Society is doing, aiming at raising awareness of ageism in the community, but also we need to look at how we get deep changes through education of medical students, of pharmacists, of all the people who intersect with older people. We can't expect businesses to employ older people if state and federal and territory governments aren't setting an example in the public service. Then businesses need to set examples to employ older people, but also to transition older people out of the workforce rather than this sudden death. You visit the departure lounge and you're gone.
So we're launching this research today because it coincides with the International Day of Older Persons on the 1st of October. The theme of the International Day of Older Persons for 2017 is called Stepping into the Future. It's tapping into the talents, the contribution and the participation of older people in their communities. What a perfect time to actually launch this research on ageism.
The Benevolent Society, what they're doing is carrying out a campaign. It'll be EveryAGE Counts, and I'll be backing it because that's part of this overall need to actually get the community to focus on this area. Not only governments, not only employers, not only families, but the whole community has a responsibility. If nothing else motivates you, self-interest should, because the climate and the culture that we set now about how we treat older people, how we deal with older people, will be exactly what we inherit as we get older.